They told Parliament they were the good guys. Back in 2019, the Canadian Anti-Hate Network told a House of Commons committee that they were proudly modeled after and receiving funding from the, quote, esteemed Southern Poverty Law Center. SPLC was just indicted for funding extremists to justify its existence. Esteemed. That's the word the federally funded Canadian Anti-Hate Network chose when speaking to lawmakers studying public safety and national security. Esteemed. But here's where things get awkward. Because that same Southern Poverty Law Center, the gold standard the Anti-Hate Network held up.
A lot of these programs that are intended to combat hate or racism that have quite a lot of money attached to them, they fund a variety of projects, some of which are very good, a lot of which is research, and almost none of which is particularly aggressive.
Is now facing a federal indictment in the United States. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, a grand jury has charged the SPLC with multiple counts, including wire fraud and false statements, alleging that millions of dollars were funneled to individuals tied to extremist groups, including the KKK.
I just want to make sure I understand. You're alleging that the Southern Poverty Law Center was paying the leaders of KKK and other groups to continue their operations? Is that?
I'm not alleging it. The grand jury returned an indictment that says that. And so what the investigation found, according to the indictment that was returned today, is that they were paying. So the Southern Poverty Law Center is raising money, asking folks to give them money to dismantle racism. And over a very long period of time, they were using some of the money they raised from donors to pay to, they called them field, basically to informants, for information, for access, to just pay them for certain, to do certain things. And so, yes, that's exactly what the indictment charges.
Let that sink in for a minute here. The organization that was held up as the model for Canada's anti-hate industry is accused of financially interacting with the very extremists it claims to expose. Now, the SPLC denies wrongdoing. Of course they do. They say those payments were part of an informant program, standard intelligence work, I guess, used to monitor dangerous groups. And maybe that's true. But even if you take them at their word, it raises questions no one in that committee room bothered to ask back in 2019. If your entire business model is built around tracking hate, what happens when there isn't enough of it? Do you quietly shut down and claim success like a moral and ethical organization would? Or do you get closer and closer to it until the line between monitoring extremism and needing it starts to blur when the supply of hate doesn't meet the demand you need to stay in business? Because that's the model the Anti-Hate Network said it was built on, not just inspired by, modeled after. And looking back now, that proud declaration to Parliament doesn't sound like reassurance. It sounds like a warning. And we should be skeptical of any finger pointing coming from the Anti-Hate Network. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. To sign our petition against Trudeau and now Carney's censorship regime here in Canada, one that is drawing ire from the Americans who are doing more to defend human rights of Canadians than our own government is, please go to stopthecensorship.ca.